All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the final part of the show, we are going to talk about the Jets and their draft, how they did. So we went over their first pick, their offensive tackle out of Penn State, Olu Fashanu. And again, apologize for the mispronunciation, but yeah, they took him with their first pick, and that was the smarter pick as opposed to the splashier pick by taking a Brock Bowers or, well, yeah, I mean Brock Bowers was still there, but the other receivers were taken. Like Roma Dunze was drafted already, and Neighbors and Marvin Harrison Jr. So that was the right play, taking a tackle. But they did take a receiver from Western Kentucky. They took Malachi Corley with their second pick. So I wanted to pull up his stats. So they did add a weapon after all. Maybe not one that the Jets were hoping for, and my friends who were Jet fans, watching the draft, they really wanted Brock Bowers, but that was not the case. They took a tackle. So this is what he did: 11 touchdowns in back-to-back years. 2022, he had 101 receptions, 1,293 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns. Then in 2023, 79 receptions, 984 yards, and 11 touchdowns. 5'11", 210 pounds. So that's what they're getting at receiver. And, again, a weapon that Aaron Rodgers now has in his arsenal, so that's good. They also drafted a couple of running backs as well. They took Isaiah Davis from South Dakota State and Braylon Allen from Wisconsin. So running back depth behind Breece Hall. So we'll take a look at their stats as well here. So yeah, I mean they went offense. I mean, again, that's like the Steelers. Defense was the strength of the team. So they wanted to try to improve this offense and add some depth. And they did that, drafting a couple running backs. So with Braylon Allen, first 2 years at Wisconsin, 1,200 yards rushing, 12 touchdowns in 2021, 11 touchdowns in 2022, and then had 984 yards in 2023. He had 12 touchdowns in 2023. So good stats there. And then we'll take a look at Isaiah Davis as well, who the Jets got. They drafted him in, of course, in my notes I don't have where he was drafted, but we'll find it. Oh, so it was in the so it was in the 5th round. Okay, it was in the 5th round. So we'll take a look at that as well. They can come up. All right, yeah. So from like I said, South Dakota State. They don't, and that's not nice. They don't have on ESPN. They don't have a profile picture for him. But in South Dakota State, his last 2 years, 1,400 yards and 15 touchdowns, 249 carries, and then in 2023, 236 carries, 1,578 rushing yards, and 18 touchdowns. So that's impressive. Again, is that going to translate to the NFL? I mean, you're not going to. I mean, not necessarily, but again, that's those are some impressive stats there for him his last 2 years in college. Now, the one pick I did want to focus on was the Jordan Travis pick. They took him in the 5th round, and he was the quarterback out of Florida State. Florida State finished with an undefeated record, and they didn't make it to the college football playoff, and it's Florida State was not happy about it. They don't want to be in the ACC anymore. But, that's part of the reason. But the Jets took him in the 5th round, and I just wanted to take a look at his stats before the injury, and then I kind of wanted to get into why this draft pick I think could actually turn out well for the Jets. Well, I'll just say it now. I mean, I think it's good that they drafted a quarterback because, I mean, and especially where he ended up being taken, because you want to have some future, plan when Aaron Rodgers does eventually leave. And yeah, so they took Travis in the 5th round, and he got hurt late in the season. So, I mean, if he didn't get hurt, I think people are saying he was projected to maybe go in the 1st round, or at least close to that. So, yeah, before he got hurt, he had 20 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He had 2,700 passing yards. The season before that, he had 3,200 yards passing, 24 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. But, yeah, the Jets take him in the 5th round. And, again, he's not going to have to do much. You know, if everything goes according to plan, he will not see the field at all, unless maybe in the preseason. But for the Jets, the only 2 quarterbacks that you want to see playing is, you only want to see one, and that's Aaron Rodgers playing the whole year and not suffering any injuries. But if Tyrod Taylor has to come in, that's who you want to see. You don't want to see Jordan Travis playing. So, and my friends who are Jet fans, they like that pick. Again, you're taking a quarterback late. He could sit behind Rodgers for a couple years, and then when Rodgers decides to retire, you hope that he's ready and he could take over. That's the ideal thing. And it's funny because people are like, "Oh, see, the Rodgers is gonna be mentoring another quarterback with the name Jordan." So, and I think Rodgers. Look, people can say whatever they want. Rodgers, he has spoken very highly of Jordan Love. And yeah, he might have not been too happy about them taking a quarterback at the time. But, he embraced him, and I think he's going to do the same thing here with Jordan Travis. And we'll see. If Jordan Travis sits behind Rodgers for a couple years, and he could heal up from the injury that he suffered, this could end up being a home run for the Jets. But, again, for a lot of people, they'll look at it and say, well, it's the Jets. So something could happen. But I think they did the right thing here. Is you take a quarterback late, and he's maybe got some upside to him, and could be your franchise guy if done right. Now, you could also look at it and say, well, the Jets have not been good at developing quarterbacks. So why would this be any different? That's a fair point. But the last 2 quarterbacks that they had, they started on day 1. They got thrown in right away. Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson. With this guy, Jordan Travis, he might not be starting right away. Well, no, he isn't going to be starting right away. Not might, he isn't. He's going to sit behind Rodgers for a couple of years. That's the other thing, too, is the Jets have a Hall of Fame quarterback on their roster. That you hope that if he stays healthy, Jordan Travis will not see the field. And you also got Tyrod Taylor there, who's a veteran. Now, is Tyrod Taylor a Hall of Famer? No. But he's a veteran quarterback that's been around the game for a while. So Jordan Travis could learn a lot from these 2 guys. And then down the line, when he's ready to take over, we'll see. So again, I think I think that was a smart play by the Jets, but again, we'll see how that all pans out. And then the last couple picks, they took cornerback Quantez Stiggers from Toronto Argonauts. So that was their 6th pick, and then they took Jalen Key with their last pick. He actually was Mr. Irrelevant, the safety from Alabama. So those are the last 2 picks. And again, defense is the strength of the team. So I mean, offense is something that they had to address here, and that's what they did. And they took 2 guys in their secondary with their last couple picks. So, Yeah, I mean, I think the Jets, another team, I think did well with the draft. Um, and yeah, I mean, we'll see now what they do in 2024 because if everything pans out for them, I think they could be a team that they I think they could be the favorites to win the division. But it all comes down to Aaron Rodgers and his health because if he's not healthy, then I don't think it really matters. It's going to be over. But the defense is the strength of the team. They actually did trade John Franklin Myers. They traded him to the Broncos. They had to because money constraints, so they had to let him go. Which my friends were not happy about that, but they had to part ways with him. But yeah, it happens. Um, but yeah, I'm looking forward to hopefully a whole year of Aaron Rodgers playing with the Jets, and hope that we get that do over because this team on paper they should be good, and I think again drafting an offensive lineman with their first pick I think was important because you got guys on that line that you did bring in, but are you really banking on them playing a full season? At least if they get hurt, you got a backup plan. So I think that was important. And yeah, of course you probably wanted Bowers, add another playmaker, but they did do that anyways. But you want to protect your quarterback, and that was something that I was nervous about going into last year. I'm like, is this offensive line going to hold up and protect Rodgers? And it didn't because 4 plays in, he was hurt. So that was an important pick. Now, again, you got to see how he plays. If he doesn't play well, then that pick wasn't good. But if he ends up taking on a big role with the team and, you have Tyron Smith or Morgan Moses go down and he has to step in and, protect Rodgers and he plays well, then, yeah, they nailed the pick. But we won't really know until he actually is, put in. So... But again, the Jets, I think, did the right thing with their pick. And again, you took a quarterback in the 5th round that has some upside. And if he sits behind Rodgers for a couple of years, and and Tyrod Taylor as well, learn some things, maybe he could be the guy. So, but that's my thoughts on that. So, but yeah, let me know what you guys think about what the Jets did with their picks. Do you think they should have went with the playmaker with their first pick instead of taking a lineman? How do you feel about the Jordan Travis pick? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, that's pretty much it from me for the show for today. I thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out all the other shows. Again, some other stuff going on in the sports world. So make sure to check all of that out. And yeah, thank you guys for tuning in, of course, as always. And yeah, so that is all the time that we have for today. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time. And until then, I'm your host, Kenneth Gruenfelder, signing off from the GSMC Football Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Have a good day, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Take care.